Welcome to the Sweep College Baseball Weekend Series predictions. This is the third weekend coming up that we'll be doing predictions for. Or I guess fourth weekend now. Third weekend just passed. Overall, I am 9-6. Kevin over there 8-7. He was able to make a little bit of a comeback last week after I went 1-4. Went 3-2. So definitely made up a lot of ground there after having a terrible week myself. But we have some super exciting games coming up this weekend, headlined by number 9 Duke going to Wake Forest, the number 1 overall team. It's tough to go against Wake Forest here. Duke has the pitching staff to be able to probably hold the Wake Forest offense, which hasn't been clicking on all cylinders yet this season. But I feel like it would be stupid to go against Wake Forest in this situation as the number 1 team in the nation. So I'll be sticking to that team, and I'm assuming that you probably have similar opinions there.
Yeah, I'll also stick with Wake here. Like you said, I think we could see some really low scoring games in this series. Both just really good pitching staffs, especially the Wake Forest starting rotation and the Duke bullpen, and so could be could be in store for some low scoring games. But I think Wake just has a little too much, and especially being at home, I think they'll be able to take care of it.
Yeah, and then heading in to the other ranked versus ranked matchup, we have number 20 Texas going to number 17 Texas Tech. Texas Tech offense looks really amazing so far, and Texas, obviously, the past week was not great, losing all their games on the weekend against super tough competition. But I think just for some reason, I feel like Texas is going to turn it around this week. I just have a hunch that they're going to catch fire. They're going to use that last weekend as fuel to be able to turn things around. They have a tough one in the midweek, so by that point we'll have the results of the Texas A&M game. But this is being recorded before that, so we'll see what happens there. But I feel like this Texas Tech game or series will be really tough, both sides, back and forth. Could be pretty high scoring, like we saw both teams do last weekend. So yeah, just going with Texas here.
Yeah, this series feels pretty similar to the Iowa Ole Miss one from last weekend, where Iowa slipped up the weekend before. Comes in, Iowa's supposed to have the good pitching staff, but the bullpen was pretty shaky, and that's how I felt about Texas this past weekend. The bullpen was shaky, blew some leads late, and Texas Tech, similar to Ole Miss, the offense has really been clicking. Uh, they've been playing not great competition, but they've been putting up runs, tons of them, and I feel like they might be able to exploit that Texas pitching staff a little bit. And I'm going to go with Texas Tech this weekend, especially with them once again being at home.
Yeah, all right. So there we have one where we're going up against each other. The next pretty competitive series, hopefully, that we decided to pick was Pitt at number 16 North Carolina. Even though Pitt isn't ranked, they are 8-1 and definitely vying for a spot just on the outside looking in. And this North Carolina squad, while it has been pretty consistently in the mid-teens in the rankings, they did fumble up a little bit one week against East Carolina, even though the games were super competitive. So definitely could go either way, but I'm going to give the edge here to North Carolina, especially with the home field advantage, and they've been looking pretty consistent after their few losses to East Carolina. So definitely wanna stick with UNC here.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with North Carolina as well. They've been taking care of lesser competition, super competitive in that East Carolina series. So we know they're able to hang with or handle top competition, and I think they'll be just fine this weekend.
Yep, and then going out west, we have UCLA at Cal. Both teams not ranked now. UCLA was in our rankings for a few weeks there, and Cal was just on the outside looking in for a bit. But both teams had not great weeks last week, with UCLA going 2-2, Cal going 1-3. Both faced decent competition overall, but definitely struggled on their own in different ways. But I think for me, I've liked maybe what I've seen a little bit more from Cal, even though UCLA was a team that I picked preseason as my sleepers of the year. They just haven't really proved it so far. And this UCLA team continually for the past few years has started out in the rankings for a lot of polls and just drops out pretty quickly with injuries and just not clicking, going on full cylinders. But I don't know. I feel like this Cal team has just done a little bit more to convince me that they're a better team at this point.
Yeah, I think this might have been my toughest pick out of the 5 games here. This is definitely a tough one. I'm gonna go with UCLA. Um, gonna gonna think that they take it on the road, but yeah, it's hard because neither team has looked particularly great to start the year. Both have shown some decent flashes and some potential, but I'm gonna go with UCLA here.
Nice. Another head-to-head matchup there for us, so at least we'll have a little bit difference. And then the last competition, last series that we have decided to choose for this week, mid-major conference battle between Southern Miss at Louisiana Tech. With Southern Miss, they face some pretty decent competition overall. I think they're 8-4 at this point. So definitely have a decent record and could eventually make their way into the rankings if they can put a few weeks together. And Louisiana Tech, we mentioned it in our podcast that they're on the outside looking in, pretty close to being ranked with that 11-0 overall record. Haven't faced great competition, but you can't really look past an undefeated season so far to start things off. So with that being said, I'm going to stick with Louisiana Tech here. I just think at home gives them a little bit more advantage, and they've been super hot. So riding that wave to be able to beat a pretty competitive series, I want to believe.
Yeah, I think it'll be a pretty tight series as well, but I'm also gonna go with Louisiana Tech. I think they'll just be able to carry that momentum from the undefeated season so far, and I think that'll be the difference maker here.
Great. So those are our series predictions. Tell us what you think. What you think is going to happen with these big 5 series coming up. There are a few others that we decided to skip out on that maybe had some headlines, but these ones seemed like they really could go either way for a lot of it. So definitely want to choose those games that have a lot up for stakes, and these were the ones for that. So yeah, stay tuned for some more predictions and more podcasts on the way.